Alrighty, my friends, I've had so many requests come in to do this, I'm going to do it. So here before you, you see my 2013 Ford F-150, and of course we did a build series on this big truck on my YouTube channel a few years ago. Some of the things I didn't include on that build series was the upper control arms and the King shocks that I have in there. Here's the reservoirs. That actually help disperse heat and everything. So all the shock fluid that's in here actually comes out to this little canister right here when these are working very hard, moving up and down, right? So quite a bit of travel. I live, my ranch is like in the middle of, as you can see, the prairies. Those who watch my show have seen me put my truck to the test many times just getting to my ranch, especially in the winter. But I'm not here to talk about the truck so much as I am to talk about this little rig. The reason I'm here today is you can have a look inside. I did the King shocks on the inside as well. And of course I didn't put an exhaust system on here. I will, even though it's electric, just for the scale look. This body is neither a Chevy nor a Ford, but you know, to get around the whole, I'm assuming the reason they went with a body like this is because the front end, if you can see it, looks a lot like a Chevy. But the side window looks a lot like a Ford, but they didn't pay for any kind of, you know, licensing, I don't think. I'm not the company, but I can assume. Same black rims with my black rims below, and this is a lot of fun. I really do enjoy this truck. In fact, I did a trailing video with this truck last year where we had them sitting side by side, and they look pretty close. Now, it's around the same time of year again, and everything's quite cold. Like, the tires look a little bit firm because it is quite cold outside, and any kind of tire is gonna, you know, stiffen up. But I want some new rims. I think this would look good, and I've got the Genius tires that I purchased from RC4WD Drive. They are 1.9s. And that's the beauty of having a scale rig is, you know, you can switch back and forth to the things you want. I think it would be awesome to make a chase rack back here and carry a spare tire back there, maybe remove the roof rack and put my light bar up there, and then it would be even closer to my big rig. But I think we should go inside and start on the Genius tire update. I wish it was this easy to clean my regular truck. Don't tell my wife. A lot of people have asked me over the years, you know, how do I clean my RC trucks after a good trail run? And really this is it. Normally not in the kitchen sink, of course. And if you do it in the kitchen sink, undo the dishes that you've already washed, or else you have to wash them again, like I've realized I will have to do now. But if your truck isn't waterproof and you did get some mud on the tires, and if you do get water in the electronics while you're cleaning it, make sure to go and put it in the furnace room, you know, leave it for 2 or 3 days. Do not have the battery attached to it, or of course the electricity and the water just may make you a problem that you have to fix later. So as a helpful tip for those that are just starting making RC videos or doing any kind of YouTube video where you need to have a white background, but you have a table like this, just go out and get yourself a nice roll of white paper. Any arts and crafts store will have it. It's very inexpensive. Lay it out, tape it down, and you end up with a beautiful surface that everybody can see, and it's clean. So a few months ago, I actually showed these particular tires. You can't see them very well until I unbox them, or unbag them rather. It looks like I've already done that, but I actually showed these in a previous video that I had, but I didn't install them. I was using the 2.2s. Now you can see here, it's the new X2 SS compound. Look at these 1.9 size tires. They're genius! Look at the tread on them. Now, how do they feel? Nice, you can see they look pretty darn sticky, but again, being in the winter months, I just did the running video of the Capo Ace 1, and a lot of folks were saying how stiff the tires looked on it and that I should get softer compounds. But folks were kind of missing the fact that I had some snow on the ground and that it was about 0 degrees Celsius, and that any tire in that kind of weather is going to firm up, just like a full-size tire. But now that I've talked about that, these are nice and sticky. They have an incredibly nice tread. Look at the lugs on that. So kind of pre-cut. The lugs themselves here, I don't know if you can see it right there, you can. The lugs themselves have quite a bit of siping, which is a new thing. I like seeing that on these particular tires, and with the big spaces in here on the coming snow and ice that I have, you know, in the impending winter that's coming up, this is going to give me much more traction, especially if they're firm. The siping will help give me a little bit better of a grip. Now, also what will help is that there's not a lug, like notice how this pattern is missing and it's straight. Now, something else I'd like to look at today. Dun 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 dun. Some of you may recognize DC. Luke, my buddy from One Too Many RCs that actually sells these products at the time of this filming. I'll leave a link to his website in the video description box down below. He actually went to Shenzhen. I had to be editing videos that day. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it, but he went to DC and did a great film for you on how these are made. So if you didn't see it, I'll leave a link in the video description box down below. A lot of things that come out of China, there are mixed reviews, there are mixed products that come out there, but DC's aluminum seems to be actually very, very durable. They've got some great quality control. I'm not paid or anything like that to actually show these off. This is just me out of my own doing after, you know, researching their products a little bit more. But check out this style. They have so many styles, of course. As a side note, for anybody who may want to get these particular rims that I have, there is the product code right there. So let's take this apart, see how it works, and start fitting them onto my 1.9s here. Okay, so for me to access the hub, I'm gonna have to use the 1.5 mil. Remove these, whoa, the camera's shaking. Remove these center screws. Aha, interesting. Look at this. This is something new. You actually twist off the hub. It comes out as one full piece. That's a threaded, it's like a nut. Oh, sweet. So even if you lose one of your screws, you don't have to worry about the centerpiece falling out. Okay, so on the back, it looks like I'm gonna need a slightly bigger bit. No, it's the same one. Still using the 1.5s. I'm just gonna be separating the beadlock. They are actually different screws than the centerpiece that go around. A little bit of a wider head on the top of it. As I take out the last screw, for those that aren't familiar with bead locks or what a bead is, a tire bead, see this inside lip right here on the inner diameter of the tire? That is referred to as the bead of the tire. A bead lock rim is actually a three-part system. One, outer ring that locks everything. And then an inner ring that goes on the inner part of the tire itself. And then of course the outer hub. Now everything kind of slides together. This ring goes over the outer hub. And of course this ring comes in after you've mounted the tire. But I'll show you that. And for those that want the part number for these Genius tires from RC4WD Drive, there you go. Literally 5 minutes later, that's all it took for me to disassemble the beadlock rings. I've laid them out all in a line. I find this actually helps me while I'm building tires and different RC parts, is to really, you know, here's one set right here, 2, 3, and 4. Here you guys are getting an outside view of what I'm looking at through my window as I'm building my tires. Sometimes it's nice just to be here looking out the window at absolutely nothing but just nature and working on my RC, because I know darn well I'm going to be out there on the rocks giving these tires a test, especially while it's cold. But here I am. What I'm going to do is assemble one tire for you, and then I'll, of course, off camera go ahead and assemble the other ones. Now, a lot of folks have come to me in the comment section over the years and said, you know, I would like to get into the RC hobby, but it looks like it's a lot of work, and I'm kind of nervous, you know, about where do I start, how do I get into it, or if I'm doing an upgrade like this, what's the easiest way? And I hope that these videos actually give you some inside advice. These are just tips and tricks I've learned over the years. You guys can totally do it differently. Whatever suits you best is how I encourage you to do it, as long as you're out there doing it. So if you have your tire And this doesn't matter what size it is. This is going to be with most beadlock systems. The outer ring, as I discussed, the inner ring, and of course the actual hub is what I'll call it. This will go in. I'm sure there's a different term for it, but for right now, you guys know what I'm talking about. So as a helpful tip, okay guys, check it out. A lot of these tires, most of them in fact, come with a foam on the inside. Now, G-Made made a system called the air system where they took a plastic rim, it must have been 25 cents for them to make, drilled a hole in it and put a rubber grommet so you could stick a needle in there and inflate the tire. It was genius and still is. I think it's very, very cool. But you don't have to buy their system. You can take beadlocks like this, you can drill a hole in it and put your own rubber grommet in, just like for like a football or basketball, how you inflate it with air. It's got that rubber grommet. You can stick it in here and make your own sealed air systems. Now, I'm not doing that today. This is the foam that I have. You guys are recognizing this foam. It's the same low quality foam that comes with any tire because you don't really need a high quality unless you're into memory foam and stuff. If I don't have a sealed rim and I go through a puddle, this acts like a sponge and just makes chocolate milk out of muddy water basically, and it gets stuck in the tire, and as the tire is rotating, that water's shifting and moving and kind of gives you a lopsided roll. That's no good when you're out on the trail. So what I'm going to do today is I'm quickly going to throw these tires in the freezer. The reason why I want it cold is because when I seal it up and the air is cold inside of the tire, as it warms up, it'll start to expand and fill the tire out. This is something I'm interested in because, you know, my weather gets to be about -20, -30, and in the wind, -45 in the cold. Yes, that's why my skin looks old and crackly. I've had many years in the Canadian winter, but since I'm doing a sealed beadlock, I'm going to go ahead and make sure these are really cold as I do the lock. As they expand, they'll fill out. All right, so it has been about an hour since I put these in here. Nice and cold, very firm, just like it's winter time, but everything is very constricted in there right now. So I'm going to just take out one and I'm going to put the locking ring on the back. You can actually see the ice crystals forming on the inside rim there just off of the breath. So it is quite cold right now. Now the folks that actually live in warmer climates don't need to do this. If you don't experience cold, then you know, why would you even bother? But for us folks that experience the cold months, what you want to do is have everything cold like that beadlock rim on the inside. Then what I'm going to do is with my fingers just gently warm the inside bead so we can actually have it being pliable, and we'll actually line up with that locking ring on the inside. I'm going to be able to put that in place and just kind of start. So there, I've got that started. Everything is still icy. You guys can see it. Even though the light's a little bit bad, you can still kind of see that. I'm going to go on the opposite side of the beadlock, not right beside, the opposite side. And I'm going to try to make sure it lines up, thread it a little bit. Now, if I notice that I'm getting some clumping and that inside bead isn't actually seating properly, you can use your screwdriver to gently just push it into place. You want to make sure that it's going into that receiving groove. Now, there's a look at what it looks like right now. Everything is seated properly. I want to give you guys a warning if you're new to this. When you're working with thin rubber and you're working with two aluminum pieces that are squeezing together, you can cut the inside of the tire. So be very careful. Oh, look at this. Yeah, look at this. Is real life RC right here. If you're not careful, I've got a little bit of a bulge right there. I want to back this area off and make sure it's seated properly. Lift it, move that bead lip, and then put it back down to where it's supposed to be. Yeah, just a turn. You can see as I went around, it was starting to get loose on every screw because it was changing thread count. That was getting sunk, and now everything is fairly tight. Now, I haven't done the center because that's not necessary. That's just for when I put it on the axle. But check this out. Nice, squishy. It's starting to warm up and expand. And as it expands, it's going to definitely give me more pressure in the tire. And if I was to roll over, I still get quite a bit of tire flex, but if it gets cold outside, everything's got a good pressure to it already. I don't have to worry about the flat spot. Now I'm going to go with the other 4 and make sure they're done properly, or the other 3. Learn my math. So one tip before I mount these up. This is blue Loctite. It's like a thread lock. Basically, you apply a very small amount to the threaded part of the screw, and then as it dries, when you've put it inside, and when it has no air touching it, it will dry, and it'll kind of cinch up those threads so they don't back themselves out. On any aluminum beadlock, when you're using like these hubs, they screw in, which is a really nice feature, but if you have aluminum rims that are turning and rubbing on things, you're always going to get things that back out. So thread lock for these, I don't use red. There is a red thread lock as well, but that solidifies very hard. You can remove it with heat, but blue is your friend when you're working with your tires. So these are the tires that I just took off of my Komodo. If it was only that easy to change them in full scale or full size. There we go. So they are really, really nice tires. They've got great lug spacing. These are not beadlocks. These are just the stock tires that came with the Komodo. So pretty decent for like bite and grip. And of course, it also has a axle nut hub cover that are screwed on, and everything's cool. I like these. I'll be able to use them on other trucks. But why not? If you have the opportunity. I think my old saying goes, if it's not broke, then just upgrade it. I'm also going to remove the center hub, and just for giggles, I'm going to go ahead and put some blue thread lock on this too. I have a feeling if I'm out there twisting the tires around, I would hate to lose one of these center hubs. That's too much, but it will thin out. Here we are, the end of November, and at the end of the day, I'm still able to take a beautiful scale shot of my Komodo trail truck. Look at that, my friends. There is the new tire and rim combo. Let's have a look at it up close. You can actually see that even though it's a little bit cold outside, I still have great pressure in the tires. I don't have to worry about a sudden cold snap making a flat spot because of the way that we've prepared them. Look at this. The tire is much skinnier than the stock one I was going with, and this will help cut through the ice and snow, including giving me some grip with that siping and sidewall. Those rims, hey? Wow. Super cool. Have you guys had any experience with these Genius tires or the G-Made Komodo tires that I was showing earlier that were stock? Let me know in the comment section below. If you guys know of any different tires that you'd like me to look at that you think would help me in the snow and ice, especially on these little scale rigs, also post that up in the video comment section below, because that would really help me out and I can check it out too. But I think I'm onto something good here. After many years of testing tires, this may be the combo I need. Of course, it doesn't look like my full-scale truck anymore, but that's okay. That's the beauty of the RC hobby. Switch parts in and out within just a few minutes. I wish it was that easy on my full-scale rig. I can test out what this looks like on my Big Blue just by using my model. So there you go, guys. There's my look at the Genius tires with the DC aluminum rim combo on my G-Made Komodo. Guys, thank you for subscribing. If you are subscribed and you've been wondering why you're not getting notifications, YouTube has changed it where they've added a small bell beside the subscribe button. Go ahead, click that bell with your arrow key and get in there and click the option for it notify you of all new video releases. That way you guys can stay in the know, you don't have to miss anything fun, and you can always be up to date on RC adventures. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. I hope you're inspired to get outside and try out the radio control hobby. Bye for now.